Hello everybody, welcome to HM Studio. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to model this exterior scene. This tutorial is for beginners, but if you're at intermediate level, you still might pick up some new stuff along the way. So it's worth watching. Now let's jump in 3ds Max and start modeling. As you can see, because of these huge windows, we can see the interiors too. So it's better if we just model everything, interior and exterior. And we're gonna be working based on these layouts that are actually JPEG images, but I've already turned them into CAD files. So you can just download the file from the descriptions down below and just follow along as we go. Alright, as I always said, the first thing before modeling anything is to check your unit setup. And you need to make sure that you're using the same unit for displayed unit scale and also system unit scale. So make sure both of them are the same unit. And for this one, we're going with centimeters. Let's hit OK, and now we can import the CAD file. So let's go to the file menu, import, and I have the CAD file right here, exterior modeling. These layouts have been drawn in meters, so let's go ahead and select meters from here. And in the layers tab, we don't need the 0, let's disable that. Before that, you need to check this one, then we're going to disable the 0 layer. Now let's hit OK, and there we have the files. Here we have the basement, ground floor, first floor, and the rooftop, and we have all the elevations up there. So let's go ahead and start with the basement. I'm gonna just move everything out of the way and just bring this one to 0, 0. Now we need to align these elevations and put them into their right place. So this one is the north elevation, and it's gonna be here. Let's rotate it by 90 degrees. Let's enable angle snap. All right, 90 degrees on this side also. Now let's align it on the 0 level on Z-axis, like so. With the snap tool enabled, just align it like this. Now we need to align it on the Y-axis. So let's go ahead and do that. I can actually align it with this wall over here. Just like this. Alright. Now we're going to do the same for all the other elevations that we have. So south elevation goes here. And we're going to basically repeat the whole process for all the other elevations as well. Let's just align it on the Y-axis with this wall. Okay. Now the east elevation. This one goes here. Let's rotate it by 180 degrees. Now 90. And let's align it with the ground level, which is this one. And on the x-axis, we can go with this wall or that one. Okay. Now the last one, which is the west elevation. Okay. Now on the x-axis, I can actually align it with the other elevation. Just like this. Okay, perfect. Now we have everything ready and we can start the modeling. Now let's go ahead and create a new layer and call it walls, and we can start the modeling in this layer. Alright, let's go to the shapes, select the line tool and create a line all around the layout. Let's enable the snap tool. Okay, and just start creating a line all around the layout, just like this. Okay, now we need to create the inner lines. So while your line is selected, let's go to the Modify tab and select Create Line from here and enable the vertices so we can see their position. Now start off by creating a line just like this. But don't forget to create 2 vertices on each side of your openings, and I will tell you how this will help later. Oh, okay. Let's fix that. Now let's close the line. We need another one for here. One more. And the last one. Okay, we're done with creating the line. Now let's apply an extrude modifier to it. I actually forgot to create a line here, so let's go back and create a line over here for the swimming pool. Alright, now we can apply the extrude modifier and just extrude it downwards. Now from the front view, we can see how much of extrusion do we need. And it has to be 320 centimeters. Okay. Alright, now that we're done with this one, we can just move it away and bring in our ground level layout. Let's move it by 20 meters. Actually, 20 more, so we moved it away by 40 meters. Now we can just bring in our ground level and align it from here, actually this corner. Okay. Awesome. Oh, actually I need to align it with the geometry that we created, sorry. So with this corner, we can just align it perfectly. Now we're going to create another line for this level as well as we did for the basement. So let's go to the create menu, shapes, and select the line tool and start by creating the line all over the plan as we did before. So this part is actually separated, so I'm going to create a separated line for this, and we can start creating a line for the other walls. Let's just not forget about the openings. Like this one, this one. Here we're gonna have windows, so I'm just gonna ignore it and go this way. Okay, now the inner lines. So let's go to the Modify tab, select Create Line, activate your vertices, and start creating the line. Alright, now that we're done with this line, we can apply an extrude modifier to it. And this time we're gonna go upwards. So let's unisolate everything, and in the front view we can see how much of extrusion do we need, and it's gonna be 260 centimeters. Perfect. And again, we don't need this layout. Let's move it away. This one I'm going to move it by 80 meters. And now let's bring in the first level. Again, we're gonna align it with the same corner that we did for the ground floor. We can actually bring it up here, but let's just leave it down there. Alright, let's isolate it and create a line just like we did for the other ones. Okay, we're done with creating the line. Now let's move it up all the way to here. And now we can apply an extrude modifier. And it's gonna be 429 centimeters. Perfect. Now if I turn off the shapes, you can see that we have all the walls ready and we can start creating the openings. Okay, we're gonna start with the ground level, so let's select that with all the elevations that we have, and to make the process a little bit easier, we're gonna isolate them all together. Just like this. Now if I go to the front view, you can see that we have the openings right over here. Now if I bring in the reference images, you can see that we have this huge window over here with probably some openings, and we're gonna have to create a window for this. You can always use these premium models from Evermotion or other companies for these doors and windows, but for this tutorial we're going to be using a built-in tool that we have in 3ds Max to create this stuff. But before we do that, we actually need the ground level layout, and we moved it away earlier, so let's bring it back and isolate it alongside with everything else that we have already. So I'm going to select everything in the scene by pressing Ctrl A on my keyboard. Now let's unisolate everything. Okay, this is the first level, we don't need that. Here is our ground level. Let's select it and just bring it back all the way to there. So we moved it away by 80 meters. So let's select that and move it by 80 meters. And we have it where we had it before. Okay, now let's go to the Create menu and the Doors category. And we're going to create a sliding door. So let's enable the snap tool and start creating a door just like this. Okay, the height was 280 as I remember. Actually 260. Yeah. As you can see, it's sitting inside the door, and we're gonna have to fix that later. And we have all of these adjustments here to customize the door that we created. So let's go ahead and give a little bit of width to the frames. Okay, a bit more of depth. Maybe 4 centimeters. Okay, that looks good. And in the leaf parameters, you can make these parts look a little bit thicker or thinner, like this. But we're gonna keep them as they are. But I'm gonna just make the bottom rails a little bit tinier. Okay. Now let's align it to this wall, just like that. All right. And now we have to just reduce the width a little bit to align it with this line that we have over here. Okay, perfect. Now we can go ahead and create the other one on this side. Let's just repeat the whole process. A sliding door from this side all the way to here. That will be our depth, and the height was 260. Okay, perfect. Now let's align it with this window. And we need to reduce the size a little bit. Okay, perfect. This one is quite huge and we can add some panels to it. And from here you can add vertical or horizontal panels. And we need the horizontal ones. Okay, from here also you can open or close the window. But we're gonna keep it closed for now. Apparently I forgot to extrude this wall, so let's take care of that. And the line is right over here. Let's just select it and give it an extrude modifier. Okay, great. Now we can go ahead and create the windows right over here. So let's go ahead and isolate the walls with the layout that we have. And this time we're going to use the windows and we're going to create a fixed window for here. $260. Okay, we need another one for here. Okay, now we can create a door for here. Let's go to the doors and a pivot door. And just like all the others, we're going to create a door right over here. 260. Alright, now we need to align it with the windows. Actually, we need to give a little bit of more width to the rails since it looks thicker in the reference image. If I bring it in, you can see that right here, it looks a lot thicker. Okay, perfect. Now we need to align it with the windows. Let's go to the front view first. We need to adjust the height. Since we have 2 centimeters of thickness here, we need to reduce its height by 2 centimeters. And we have 2 centimeters from each side, so we need to deduct 4 centimeters from the width as well. Let's reduce the depth also so it's aligned with the windows, and it's going to be 3 centimeters. Okay, awesome. And you can also open the door just like that. You can flip the hinge, flip the swing. If I flip the hinge, it's going to open the other way. And if I flip the swing, it's going to go inwards. Now if we check the reference images, you can see that we have a couple of openings over here, and we can go ahead and take care of those. And when I told you we need to create 2 vertices on each side of the opening, it was because of these segments that you can see on the walls. So let's go ahead and add an editable poly. Now let's select both polygons on both sides of the opening. Since these windows have different heights, we're gonna have to do it separately. So we're gonna start with this one. Let's go to the back view, and you can select it from here. And now let's go ahead and select the slice tool, quick slice tool from the edit geometry, and just slice them with your snap tool enabled, just like this. Now we have the segments ready for us. Let's go ahead and take care of these doors as well. So I'm gonna select all the polygons that I need. Again, I'm going to the back view, and we just slice them as we did before, just like that. Now this window over here, let's go to the back view, and you can actually right click in the viewport, anywhere in the viewport, and select the quick slice tool from here. Okay, let's slice this one as well. Perfect. Now we need to select all the polygons on both sides and create the opening just by clicking on the bridge tool right over here. Okay. Perfect. Now we can just go ahead and create the windows and doors for this side as well. For this little window over here, we're going to create a sliding window, but keep this in mind that this tool only creates horizontal panels. And if you need vertical panels, just like we need right here, you need to create it in a different way, as I'm doing right now. So let's enable auto grid and snap tool and start creating the window just like this. The width is going to be 150 centimeters, and I'm going to reduce the depth a little bit. Let's go with like 10 centimeters. And let's move it all the way to here. Let's align it with this wall. Okay, perfect. For this one, I'm going with a fixed window. Okay. It's gonna be 200 centimeters. Perfect. Let's reduce the depth. Let's move this one also and align it with this corner. And we need to create 2 doors for here. So let's go to the doors, the pivot door, okay, let's adjust the height. Now that we have 4 centimeters of width, we need to deduct 4 centimeters from the height, so it's going to be 216. And 8 centimeters from the width, so it's going to be 72. Okay, now let's align it to the corner. And we need to deduct the depth. Yeah, 10 centimeters is good enough. Let's give a little bit of thickness here. 6 centimeters is good. And yeah, that's it. Now we can make a copy for the other one. As you can see, the width is a little bit different, so let's increase it a little bit. It's going to be 82 centimeters. Okay. And that will be all for the ground floor. Now we can go ahead and take care of the first floor, and the whole process is going to be the same, so you can just watch and follow along. Okay, as you can see, I forgot to create these segments over here. And if it did happen to you, you can just select these two segments and create another one just by clicking on the connect over here and just align it with the other one on the other wall. Let's create another one and align it with this one. And just like that, we can continue creating the opening. By the way, if you like this type of tutorials, I have a lot more on my channel and there are lots more to come. So it would be awesome if you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the rest of them. And after we finish modeling this scene, I'm going to put it on my Patreon. So if you want to have this model, you can just go ahead and download it from there. When I was creating the second floor, I totally forgot that we have to create the ceiling for the first floor. And I'm afraid that we have to change the size of every door that we created. But to create the ceiling, let's go to the top view and start off by creating a line, just like this, all around the layout. Okay, let's close the line. Now we're gonna have an opening here for the staircase, so let's create another line here. Actually, let's go to the Modify tab and select Create Line and create a line right over here. Maybe this way is easier. Exactly. Now let's go to the front view and bring it all the way up to here. Now we're gonna give it an extrude modifier and let's make it 40 centimeters. Okay. Now we have to readjust the height of these doors, as I mentioned before. Let's select all of them together. Let's move them up by 40 centimeters. Now we're gonna have to deduct 40 centimeters from here. So it's gonna be 256. And let's do the same thing for all the other doors. Now we need to create another ceiling, but this time for the first floor. In some cases, you can just use the same geometry. You can just make a copy out of it and use it for the other floors. But in this case, we have these terraces here that are open to the sky, so we cannot use this one. So let's go to the top view, select this geometry and isolate it and create another line for this. Okay, let's close the line. We can move it up all the way to here. And I'm going to give it 20 centimeters above the windows. Let's apply an extrude modifier with 40 centimeters. We can actually go ahead and delete all of these walls that are jumping out from the ceiling. But in this case, since we're not going to render any aerial views, we can just leave them be. And I think we're finished with the building and we can just take care of the rest of it. Let's go ahead and start modeling the floor down here. Okay, let's isolate this one and start creating a line just like this. We're gonna have some greeneries here, some planters. So let's create a line for that. We're gonna have the swimming pool here. So let's create a line for this. Okay. There's gonna be some other greeneries here. And for the ramp as well. Okay. Now let's apply an edit poly modifier. And just like that, we have the geometry. Awesome. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of shell so it covers the walls from the basement. Let's go with 1 centimeter. Okay. Now we need to create some planes. Let's go to the standard primitives, create a plane over here. Actually, we need to change the snap tools mode to 3 so it works in 3-dimensional workspace. Let's create another one for here. Perfect. And for this one, we can just go to the back view and start off by creating a line for the ramp. So we're gonna have it over here. So let's go ahead and create a line just like this. Okay. Now let's move it all the way to here and apply an extrude modifier to it. And let's just fill this hole with this geometry. Okay, 315. Perfect. We can actually just move these vertices or this segment all the way to here, and that'll be all. Perfect. After I had a second look on the layouts, I figured that we don't have these walls over here, so we can just go ahead and delete them. So let's select this geometry, go to the line, and just delete these segments. Okay, now we need to close this hole with the connect. Okay, we don't need these, let's get rid of them. Also this one needs to be closed. Just like that, we don't need that one. Now let's align these two vertices, just like that, and just connect them together. Okay, perfect. Now let's go back and see how it looks. That's more like it. Now we need to create this wall that we have over here. And for that, we can just simply create a box. Okay. Let's select the box tool. And with your snap tool enabled, just create a box and that will be the height. Perfect. Now let's create these walls. Again, we need to create another line all around it. Okay. Let's close the line and extrude it. And it would be 180 centimeters. We need to create this one also. Let's create a box for this. 260. Perfect. We have this planter box over here and we need to create that also. Let's go to the shapes and create a line all around it, just like that. Now we can extrude it. Let's check the height, and this one will be 120 centimeters. Great. Now we need to create a surface for the plants and grass. Let's move it down a little bit. Okay. Now to fill this hole over here, we can just add an edit poly modifier to this geometry. Okay, now let's select all the vertices down here. And we can just move them down all the way to here. Okay, great. Now let's just go to the clay mode so we can have a better look at everything. Okay, as for the next step, we can work on this swimming pool and actually this planter box that we have right over here. But let's start with this one. Let's go ahead and create a box. We actually cannot see this one in any of the layouts, so let's just take a guess for the height. If we have a look at this one over here, I think it would be like something around 80 centimeters. So let's convert it to an editable poly. Select this polygon. Let's make an inset. I'm gonna go with 4 centimeters, maybe 6. Okay, now extrude it downwards. Now we can just detach this polygon over here to use it for these gravels. Now let's select this ring. Create a segment and move it down to somewhere around here. And we can just select all of these polygons and extrude them a little bit. Let's go with local normal and just extrude them something like this. Alright, perfect. we need to actually fill this hole over here as well. So let's add an edit poly modifier to this. Let's select all of these vertices and bring them down to here. Great. I think we have some openings here that I missed earlier. And yeah, we have them here. So let's select the basement model with this elevation and isolate them together by pressing Alt Q on your keyboard. And we need to add an edit poly modifier. Then let's select these polygons, front and back. Now let's go to the back view, and with quick slice tool, we need to create these segments over here. Okay, now let's deselect all of these polygons and hit bridge. Great, we have an opening over here as well. Let's create that one. In the back view, you can see the height. All right, let's select these polygons and hit bridge. Okay, cool. Now I can actually make 2 copies from this window for the new openings that I created. So let's hold shift and just drag it all the way to here, make a copy and just align it with this corner. We need to increase the width, or actually height in this case. 180, let's make a copy. Align it with this corner, and there we have them. Perfect. For the next step, we can go ahead and model this swimming pool. Let's have a look at this reference image, and as you can see, we have this edge over here and some steps, and we can have a better look here. Okay, you can see all the details. Now to create that edge, let's select this geometry and isolate it. I'm going to select this ring. Let's create a segment. Move it all the way up to somewhere around here. Now we need to select these polygons and just extrude them. Local normals. And something like 4 centimeters is okay. Now let's go ahead and create these steps. To do that, I can just create a box according to this first one over here. Let's make it 40 centimeters height, or 30 actually. Okay, let's move it to this corner. Now we have to move it down by 30 centimeters, since this is the first step that we're going to have. Now we need 1, 2, 3, 4 more copies out of this. So let's isolate it and just make 4 copies. Perfect. Now I'm going to add an edit poly modifier and just make this one bigger so it covers the base of the swimming pool. I'm going to attach them all together. And from the top view, let's move these vertices so we fill the whole pool. Okay. And all of them, actually this one, this direction. Great. Now we need the water surface. And to do that, I'm going to isolate this again and create a plane. It needs to cover the whole thing. So let's use these corners and just move it up to somewhere around there. Okay, that's perfect. For this wall over here, I'm not going to add any details since we're not going to see it in any other cameras. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a simple box. 10 centimeters is okay. Let's align it with this wall, and that's it. After creating a couple of cameras, I realized that this slope here is not that smooth and we need to fix that too. So let's add an edit poly modifier to this geometry. I'm going to create a segment. Let's move it all the way up to here. Now we need to align it on the z-axis with this one. Okay, now we can just simply chamfer it and give it some segments and it will be smooth. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Okay, and we can just copy this segment and create a floor for the whole basement. Let's make another copy this way and one more this way. And for the last one, we need to cover this area. Perfect. Actually, we need to extrude this wall downwards a little bit. Let's select this geometry, extrude it, and just align it with this opening. And we need to extrude this geometry and just move it all the way to back here. Great. Now, as you can see the floor geometry here. We don't want to have that actually. We need to just move it a little bit towards inside so we don't see it in the renderings. Just a tiny bit. Great. And for the last step, we're going to create these metal louvers, and that will be all. So let's go to the front view, create a plane with your snap tool activated. Let's create a plane like that. We don't need any of these segments. And I'm going to convert it to an editable poly and just create some segments with the quick slice tool. Now we need to have a hole here, so let's go ahead and delete this geometry. Let's give it a shell modifier. I think 4 or maybe 6 centimeters would be good. Okay, great. Now for these, I'm going to create another plane. Let's give another shell modifier to this one. And I'm going with 4 centimeters. And we need to just move it by 1 centimeter so it sits in the middle. Great. I'm going to just make a few copies for the other ones. Okay. Maybe 4 more, and that's it. Great. Now we can go ahead and convert this one to an editable poly and just attach everything together. If you want to attach like lots of geometries together, you can always just go ahead and click on this button over here and just select everything that you want from the list and just hit attach. There you go. Alright, now we just need to make a few copies and just put them into the right place based on the layout. Guys, if you like this tutorial, it would be awesome if you just give it a thumbs up. It would help with the YouTube algorithm so more people can watch it. And it would be great if you sub to the channel so you don't miss my other tutorials. I think that would be all for the modeling part, and in my next video I'm going to show you how to render this scene. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to go with Corona or V-Ray. Thank you for watching the whole thing, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.